What's up YouTube, Dave's wargames, bringing what you have been requesting the most of, and that is an update to my Dark Magician, Pendulum Magician deck profile. Not much more really needs to be said about this. It's a combination of the Dark Magician engine with the Pendulum Magician engine, and kind of abusing the whole factor of Dark Spellcasters. So without further ado, I'm going to crack straight through the deck and we'll take you through why we play the ratios we do, and just the general build as itself. If you do have any questions, put them in the comments below and I will try to answer them the best I possibly can. So, straight up, no questions asked, you play triple Dark Magician. Has to be played at 3. He's kind of the whole reason of the engine. If you play him at any less, you're not really utilising the Dark Magician engine itself. Next up, triple Magician's Rod. Now, this is just as important in the pure fact that it does require your normal summon, but on top of that, he is your normal summon to either then help push you into link monsters with your Pendulum monsters, but he also searched out your Dark Magical Circle, and that on turn is a big issue for your opponent to deal with. If your opponent has to deal with a Dark Magical Circle plus a Time Pendulum Graft, and you've gone first, gosh, they're in trouble. Double Apprentice Illusion Magician. So this is one of the new additions from the last set. Or from the last deck profile. We play this at 2 because it is incredibly important. The pitch and search is really important, but on top of that, it is a 2k honest from hand for all your Dark Spellcasters. That is what makes this incredibly important, is your whole deck, yes, is Dark Spellcasters minus Oath Dragon Magician and Wisdom Eye. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing this girl at 2. You can play it at 3 if you want, but sometimes it can get a little bit cloggy. Next up, we play the 1 Magician of Dark Illusions. Now, I've dropped this down to 1, purely A, because of space, and B, because I've mixed him, so it's him, one of him, and one of the Astrograph Sorcerers. They both kind of, one does destruction, and one does when you activate a spell or trap during your opponent's turn. He then can have the ability to revive your Dark Magician to help push you into link plays, or even rank 7 plays if you wish. 1 is just enough for now, because you play so many high levels, you don't really want to pendulum summon him out, because he's better as a hand trap than he is on the board itself, unless of course you absolutely have to. Next up, for the Pendulum Magician engine, we play triple Purple Poison Magician. This is the only one we play at 3. I personally think it is the most powerful card because it is an out to pretty much everything. It's an out to an anti-spell should your opponent hit you with that. It's an out to any monster that can be destroyed, like a big beta monster that needs to be destroyed. It gives your opponent something to worry about, plus the 12k boost that it can give to any of these is very important. We play double Black Fang Magician. This is nearly as important as the Purple Poison. You can play them here at 3 as you wish. Because of his destruction effect, you revive a Dark Spellcaster, so it lets you revive any of your monsters. Literally, you can bring back a Dark Magician, you can bring back a Magician of Dark Illusion. And the best thing about it, for example, if you destroy Black Fang in this scale because you use his effect or whatever, bring back your Magician of Dark Illusion, his effect, and you've got a Circle on board. Circle's effect to banish 1 card, his effect then goes off to revive a Dark Magician from grave. It kind of helps get your combos and plays going. So pretty much the majority of these cards is, if you top deck it, it can actually really help you out. Next up, double Performer Power of Skullcrabat Joker. Again, it requires your normal summon, so I don't want it to clash too much with Magician's Rod. Obviously, I do want to see one of the 2 in my opening hand. If I go with Joker, then I'm going for a more pendulum-based board to kind of defend myself. And I'm hoping I've opened up with some of the Dark Magician spells or traps to utilise both the engines. Otherwise, I'll be going for Rod, because I think the Dark Magician's engine needs that extra bit of support more than the Pendulum Magician engine. And the Pendulum Magician engine is more for stability, whereas the Dark Magician is more for bigger beaters and just being able to abuse the facts. Double Harmonizer Magician. I don't ever really want to open up this girl. Yes, okay, it's a nice little 8 scale because it can provide all Magician Pendulum monsters with different... all monsters, sorry, you control 100 attack for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster with different names. So it's better in the scales as a later game. But on top of that, it is just a nice little special summon from deck, special summon from hand, going into your Omega, going into any of your Synchros, any of your rank 4s, or even help you go into your links, especially by special summoning 1 from deck as well. So she can be massively important. 3 was just too much, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to search any Pendulum monster from my deck, if I've already got my scales, it's going to be this girl. So that's kind of why I've only gone with 2 of her. You can bump her up to 3, but like I said, the space in this deck is so tight that you do have to make some sacrifices, which again is why we only play double Wisdom Eye Magician. Again, he can be played at 3. I do realise that he is incredibly powerful, because him and another Magician kind of fills your scales, and then you can help circle him back to hand, pendulum summon more from hand, extend plays that way. But like I said, the deck is so tight The only other card that I would consider dropping down would be a Magician's Rod down to 2, and even that is like, that's borderline, for the pure fact that the other options you could drop a Purple Poison, but you must play 3 Dark Magicians, no questions asked on that. Rods is like 99.999% of me says play it at 3. The other 0.1% is like, could I change it up a little bit? And the Purple Poison again is a good 90% of me says play it at 3, but it is one that you could sacrifice should you wish. The one Double Iris Magician. Now I've got a load of high level scales, as you can see, and the reason for Double Iris is mainly for his effect, and then obviously his search ability as well, and then he can be searched off of Double Iris, not Double Iris, sorry, Duelist Alliance to help finish your scales. So 1 is more than enough for me in this build, again because of the clash or the mixture between the 2 engines. 1 is more than you need. 1 Astrograph Sorcerer, I'll explain that with the Magician of Dark Illusion. Ideally I don't want to be Pendulum summoning him out, I want to use him as a baseline. For example, if Eternal Soul goes off, Eternal Soul's effect goes off in Grave to destroy all your monsters. You can then chain Magician of Dark Illusion and chain Astrograph Sorcerer. Astrograph Sorcerer will special summon itself, search you back. Like let's say a Dark Magician got destroyed or something like that, you search out a Dark Magician, you've got it to hand. Your Magician of Dark Illusion can then chain to the Traps effect, and that will then go onto the board, and him in turn can then have the ability to possibly special summon a Dark Magician that you've just lost in Destruction back from Graveyard, so you kind of refill your board. And then the 1 Oath Dragon Magician. Now again, this is mainly, you want it to be kept in the scales. If it does leave its scales and go into the extra monster zone, into the Pendulum extra deck, sorry, you do have a rank 6 play there, but we don't rely on the rank 6 play, which is why we don't play any. But he does have the ability to do that if you want to bump him up. But like I said, ideally he's in the scales just to help recycle your Pendulum monsters back to your hands to push your plays forward. So that's it for the monster lineup. Now on to the spell lineup. So we've got triple Dark Magical Circle, straightforward and simple. You need to open up this card. Yes, the ability of being able to add one of the top 3 is quite thin. In the sense is because you've got such a mixture between your Pendulum Magicians and your Dark Magicians, you've had to make sacrifices. But just having its board presence is incredibly powerful as it is. Triple Law of Darkness, all your monsters are dark minus Wisdom Eye and Oath Dragon. A Law of Darkness isn't the end of the world because we do have Omega to help us cycle back our banished monsters. So on top of that, it's not so bad if you banish one of your Dark Magicians to get a +2 draw. Next up we play double Duelist Alliance and 1 Pendulum Call. Now obviously Duelist Alliance is quite more specific because you do need that scale, but with Ash around, Pendulum Call is also only needed at 1. So Duelist Alliance can search you out the Star Pendulum Graph, the Time Pendulum Graph, your Odd Eyes Magician Scale, or your Pendulum Call, so whatever you really need. Star Pendulum Graph, all you need is a 1, and again it protects your spellcaster type monsters, so it's very, very nice and generic. And then the 1 Illusion Magic, because I've said this before, you can kind of tribute a spellcaster monster and extend your plays that way to get your searches off. Should your opponent like Ghost Ogre, Destroyer, anything like that, you make sure you plus off of the minuses that your opponent's going to be doing. And then on top of that, it can also special summon your Magician of Dark Illusion from hand. Trap cards, we play triple Navigation because as long as you've got Dark Magician in hand, you can pretty much get out 90% of your monster ratios. Again, minus Wisdom Eye and minus Oath Dragon. But you can get any of your monsters on board should you need it for rank 7 plays, rank 4 plays, absolutely anything. And it can kind of help just push you that little bit further. Sometimes my nice little combo plays is getting a Dark Magician from hand and then getting an Apprentice Illusion Magician from deck. And can kind of go from there. To help you extend your plays. Next up we play the double Eternal Soul. 2 is more than enough. You can kind of circle around your Dark Magicians. You just have to be quite wary. You can play this at 3, no issues with that. I just usually like the ratio of 2 Eternal Souls and then a Call of the Haunted back to the front or an Oasis of Dragon Souls. Just for those chances to bring back more than just my Dark Magician. But of course Open Dragon can kind of deal with my Pendulum monster recycling and kind of go from there, and so can Black Fang, so that kind of counts as your Call of the Haunted. And then of course 2 of the most busted trap around at this moment in time, Time Pendulum Graph, plus for days. Like, it's never as simple as pay what, like, destroy one as cost and then destroy one of your opponent's monsters. You're always going to get more than 1 out of it, and it's just incredibly powerful card that you have to play it too. For those chances that your opponent does worry about, if your opponent pops it, gets rid of it, you've got a second one in your deck ready for a backup to go. Now onto the extra deck, we play the 1 Sexy Deco Talker. Pretty much staple in all decks at this moment in time that can produce links. The only downside is you can't use your Dark Magician for it because it requires effect monsters, but it still helps you open up 2 extra monster zones right there. And on top of that, because we can't use effect monsters, can't use Dark Magician for it, I do play the one Gaia Saber, the Lightning Shadow. Again, you can probably obviously link him up to Decode and open up 2 more spaces, or ideally it can help you give a bigger beta kind of recycle effect with your Dark Magicians, the exact same way that you abuse Link Spider with Dark Magician is with the Eternal Soul. Should you only have Dark Magicians, which in this day is very, very rarely to only be relying on the Dark Magician, but should you do it, you can link your Dark Magician into a Link Spider, use your Eternal Soul to bring back your Dark Magician, use your Circle to banish an opponent's card, and then obviously you've got a Link Spider there that counts as an effect monster that can then be used to Decode Talker or Gaia Saber. On top of that, we then play the one Proxy Dragon as well. Because of the way Pendulum monsters can flood the board, you do have the ability to unlock more extra monster zones and, of course, protect your monsters on top of that. For our Synchros, we play the one Cypher Lord Omega, busted as hell, Bills of Diabolical Dragons, and Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer. Now, if you don't like Bills, you can take that out, or if you don't have a Bills, for the Supreme King Clearwing, that is very, very powerful as it nukes all of your opponent's monsters when summoned. So it can kind of Regeki your opponent's board for you, should you choose to. Bills is just a nice little one that you can sit on there and stall out. And then, because you don't, with your Pendulum monsters, you don't have to, with the mix of Dark Magicians, you don't have to rely on loads of extra deck monsters summoning. If your Bills is doing the duties for you and stalling and doing its job, you can then, of course, special summon out your Dark Magicians time after time after time, and you've got 2,500 beaters that can then be boosted with your Magician, Apprentice Illusion Magician, and your and your Venoms. Our rank 7 lineup, we play the one Ibon Illusion, the one number 11 Big Eye, the one Red Eyes Flare. These are all quite self-explanatory. Ibon is incredibly powerful for the Dark Magician engine. Big Eye, you can steal your opponent's links, and that's happy days. If you still like your opponent's Proxy Dragon, you've opened up 2 monsters for free. Red Eyes Flare, if you get your opponent to a low level of life points, Red Eyes Flare just burns them out for game. It's very rare that you do that in Pendulum Magicians. You should normally be able to finish them off, but just in case. And then I like trialing out number 28, Titanic Moth, because now, in a normal Dark Magician deck, if you get hit with a Maxi, Titanic Moth isn't going to do a huge amount for you, in the sense that you very rarely, like the most you could ever special summon off of Dark Magician, unless you've got an Eternal Soul board, is like, they'll activate it towards your navigation, which gets them 1 or 2 draws, I believe, and then you go into your Bon Illusion, gets them another draw, and then your Bon Illusion gets you a Dark Magician, gives them a 3rd draw. Whereas under Pendulum Magicians, if your opponent goes, if you go scale, and they go, oh, he's playing Pendulum Magicians, Maxi, and you're going like, let's say, this is obviously going 2nd, of course, and your opponent goes, oh, cool, Maxi, you just do, okay, Pendulum Summon, then do as many special summons as you can, and as long as you've got the ability to get Dark Magician to board, you then finish off with a Titanic Moth, because Titanic Moth can then, when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you detach material, and then inflict 500 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. So you basically you take the Maxi challenge, you do as much damage as you possibly can to him, and then you go Titanic Moth for game. Like, this is just as cool as that card can be. I'm not saying it's pivotal in the deck, you can change it out, it's completely up to you. I just think it's quite cool to run. And then the rank 4s, we play the one Tornado Dragon, the one number 41 Bagooska for those times you want to stall out and slow down a little bit more. The Pawn Perform Mage Trapeze Magician, obviously there is the OTK with this guy and Decode Talker. And then finally the one-time Star Magician, because it can protect and it can search pretty much all of your cards in your deck, which is incredibly powerful and incredibly useful. So, that is it for the deck profile. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas and refreshed you on the idea and design of the Magician Pendulum deck profile, or the Magician Pendulum deck in general. I certainly, like I've said before, Dark Magician is my go-to deck. I absolutely love it. You know, whether it tops, whether it falters, I'll always go back to it and always play it. It can be quite versatile. It can be used with multiple different engines, and it is very, very cool and fun to play. And then on top of that, Pendulum Magicians is kind of your next best thing. It is basically Dark Magician in Pendulum form in a small sense. So it's always nice to have them on the board together. Anyway, thanks for watching. Believe it or not, I actually, through the help of Niall from 4 Hammer Gaming Club, I've actually come up with another idea, or not another idea, but it is floating around of Buster Blader Pendulum Magicians. So I'm going to be looking into those. I have got a profile coming up for you guys, where instead of the Dark Magician engine, it's the Buster Blader engine, and it's a lot more different, a lot more interesting. I did trial out the level 7 pendulums, so like Odd Eyes and stuff like that, but I think the Magicians level 4s is a lot better because they're easier to get out, easier to flood the board for the link monsters. And what Buster Blader is missing most off is having 2 extra monster zones to go into Buster Dragon and then going into the Fusion. So it's very, very interesting. So check that out. That will be coming out very, very soon. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, whole 9 yards. Till next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button, right in the bottom left hand corner.